What's up, everybody? This is Lanny, back with another Premodern video. This week we're going to be playing Lanny Burn. Pardon my modern borders. This is just kind of like the cheapest way to build it on Magic Online. And of course I use a rental service. So anyways, what's different about Lanny Burn? Lanny Burn runs 22 lands and 4 Sulfuric Vortex instead of 4 Urza's Bauble. Instead of 4 Urza's Bauble, or in some cases, 4 additional copies of a shock effect, that being Shock or Seal of Fire. I think that the main advantage of Bauble Burn is that it's not bogged down with shocks. If you draw a lot of shock effects in most games, you're just gonna lose. The first one, maybe it catches a Mishra's Factory or some random goblin, but the shock effects are good against goblins, but the shock effects are very inefficient for face. 2 damage for a card and 1 mana, just not that good. So there's a lot to unpack with Burn. I would suggest that you look up the Mike Flores article, Finding the 3 Gears. It talks about modern Burn. Pre-modern Burn plays out in much the same way. Sometimes you open up your hand and you simply have enough damage to just deal 20 to your opponent within the course of 4 or 5 turns. More likely 5 than 4, simply because you're relying on creature damage, and nearly every deck in the entire format is capable of handling a creature. So it's just very unlikely, unless you draw all your lightning bolts and you connect with the ball lightning somehow, and you draw 2 fire blasts with the 4 mountains, and you just use all your mana on every turn to use all your cards, that you would just like deal pure burn damage 20 in 4 turns. So that's gear 1. Gear 1 is just kind of a combo kill using 7 or 8 of your cards in order and just killing your opponent. The second gear is the most important gear. That's gear 2, which is suppression. It is using your burn spells to control the battlefield, chipping in with your creatures that hang out, and also chipping in with Sulfuric Vortex. Gear 2 is the main reason why I think Sulfuric Vortex is the flagship card of Lanny Burn, and I think it should be a flagship card of Burn. I actually find Sulfuric Vortex to be behind only Lightning Bolt and Fire Blast in terms of power level. Vortex allows you to play a board control game against every single kind of deck between aggro and mid-range. So decks like the Rock, decks like the any number of like White Weenie-ish, Exalted Angel-ish decks, and of course Goblins and Elves. Generally, Sulfuric Vortex is just a great plan against them because it can take care of your opponent's life total while you're taking care of the battlefield. So most of these mid-range value decks, they'll eventually grind you out with creatures, right? If you're, some people are playing Mono B Aggro or zombie variants. Now, zombie variants are bad against Burn normally, but if you bear with me, if your opponent's plan is to just play a bunch of creatures, it's possible that if they have a creature card advantage engine like Survival or Goblin Ringleader, that they can play more creatures than you can handle with just burn spells and then Grim Lavamancer and maybe Curse Scrolls 2 mana intense. And even if you answer all the creatures, you'll be at 0 cards, your opponent will be at like 1 or 2 cards, and your opponent will be at 20 life. And then from that point, all they have to do is sort of eventually just stick 1 Call the Herd token, stick 1 random Goblin, stick 1 Siege Gang Commander, Drain Hermit. Obviously Drain Hermit won't stick, but the Squirrels will. And shut the door on you over the course of a few turns. So Sulfuric Vortex allows you to play strategy, which is to keep the board completely clear, using your spells, but still have a meaningful pathway to reducing your opponent's life total to 0. And it's really, really good at that. And in fact, it almost feels like, it's not even a gear 2 card. It's just like its own gear. It's like you play Sulfuric Vortex, the game's going to end. Even if your life total is slightly lower than your opponent's, like all your opponent's cards typically have summoning sickness. Like they play Treetop Village, they have to, sink, it comes into play tap, then they sink mana into it. It's like, okay, well, your Bolt has haste, right? So you got to choose to Bolt the Village or Bolt the face. And then same thing with most of your opponent's cards. Most of the time your opponent doesn't have access to haste. So you'll always be on the front foot with Sulfuric Vortex, where you'll just be able to burn board, and then burn face. Gear 3 is kind of like a philosophical sort of concept when you play against control, which is simply that like control can't stop 7 spells from resolving, right? Like you play all burn spells, control, trying to counter every burn spell just isn't going to work because they'll play 8 or 10 counter spells maybe. But those 10 counter spells aren't going to overwhelm a deck and comprise entirely of burn. So if they want to play Draw Go, you can play Draw Go, and then just, either you get chip damage in with creatures, maybe they have some pain lands, they take some damage. Maybe best case scenario is you stick Sulfuric Vortex. Vortex is like a crazy card to stick versus Stasis, right? Obviously it's going to get countered, but if you can use your Pyroblast to stick it on the battlefield, all of a sudden Stasis doesn't become a good plan for the Stasis player. But even mono blue control opponents, blue white control opponents, they're not going to like seeing this card. So Gear 3 is just like, eventually you'll kill them. Just don't run your cards into counterspells. Like, don't let them use counterspells effectively on tempo. In order for them to do anything aggressive, attack with our Mishra's Factory, like whatever, they have to tap mana, and they might tap low enough to let you just throw more burn than they have the mana to cast their counterspells. Sideboard is all about addressing Dreadnought and Sphere of Resistance. Sphere of Resistance is the one reason we play Overload instead of Mog Salvage. Earthquake is experimental. I decided I didn't really like Lava Dart, and I decided that Earthquake makes a lot of sense. If our plan is to keep the battlefield clear and we need some ways to do it card advantageously, why don't we use Earthquake? And, Earthquake better than Pyroclasm in a certain sense, because Earthquake can beat a Call of Her token. And because I'm playing so many lands, Earthquake is just like a good mana sink. It could end up being just a blaze. Price of Progress is completely broken. There's a fair number of combo decks that can race you quite quickly, and Price of Progress helps you bridge the gap against them. So a lot of those combo decks run a lot of non-basic lands, and Price of Progress can certainly get them. And Blue Blast to hedge against control matchups, but really to combo such that you have 8 pieces of interaction versus the Dreadnought decks, because 1 isn't going to be enough. You have to draw 2, and this is the way to do it. Anyway, so that's Lanny Burn. I could kind of write an entire book on the philosophy behind Lanny Burn, but overall, Sulfuric Vortex is broken. More people should play it. We're playing Seal Fire instead of Shock because we don't have baubles, but Seal Fire and Shock are very close in my mind. Seal Fire has a slight edge, better with Scroll, better against Circle Protection, better at like initiating stack wars and whatnot. That's Lanny Burn, and we'll jump into some matches.
Let's jump into match 1. Broken Hand. I like a broken hand. We're just gonna, what the heck happened to these mountains? What is this red box? Come on. Uh-oh, Dreadnought. Uh-oh, Madness. Madness is fine. I'm pretty down to ping a Root Walla, put a Grim Lavamancer down, and get cooking. Should be not a problem. Oh my god. I don't know if I can put another thing in the graveyard for this Grim Lavamancer. The only problem is on 2, they're going to have Wild Mongrel. So developing the Grim is probably better for damage. I kind of want to live in a no Mongrel world. I could also just like Grim down the Mongrel and then Fire Blast it for 6 damage. They just wouldn't be able to put it out of range. That would be completely nuts, but it would give me the entire battlefield with extra power. I'm also kind of down for Burn Spell off the top. This Jackal Pup is just super bad against a Wild Mongrel, right? Yeah, the real question is if this hand can beat a Mongrel. I've got too many creatures, but the Mongrel will never be able to attack, so it's not the end of the world. I think I can live with that. And then obviously if we're in a no Mongrel world, we're in decent shape. And if it's a Daze world, I'm also totally fine with them setting themselves back a turn. Obviously it's good Daze value if they get the Root Walla down. Just another island, hopefully not another Careful Study. Yeah, so this is great for me, I think. And then really solid follow-up draw. So I don't think there's really any combination of things my opponent can do to outrace the continuous damage here, because they're just going to have to deal 20, and I can block, I can burn their stuff, and they're behind 2 turns on lands. So we're just kind of in good shape. An unsummon would be fine. Opponent drops a forest, no Mongrel. Not really worried about much at instant speed here. I have the Lava Man activation in addition to the Curse Scroll activation here. So yeah, if I draw a land, that's like the best, right? Because I get land, scroll, Lava Man. If I draw a burn spell, I have burn spell, Lava Man. And then if I draw one of my 3s, I have a 3, but I don't really want to run a 3 into a second Daze or open mana. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cash the scroll activation here. Yeah. And I get the best case scenario. Opponent's just like dead. I have like 20 damage. I have the remainder of their life total like on the battlefield already. Ugh. Some games are easy, I guess. All right. We are in the Arrogant Worm zone. But I think I can just do this all face, right? Because it's 4 more plus 4 more, and then they're dead. But I'm also playing a 3-drop around days here, so I could take a draw step. But yeah, I have 19 life, so might as well just keep working the scroll. Frantic Search, Arrogant Worm, 4 damage. So Frantic Search, Arrogant Worm gets me for 4. I guess this baits the days, and then also just puts lethal damage on the battlefield, right? So it could be Frantic Search into a counterspell, but then they're really dead. Logic. Okay, so this is Survivalist Madness. This is pretty sweet, but I cut off Arrogant Worm here, so. And also this is like the worst spell for them to counter, but they're under. I have 2 uncounterable sources of damage here, so. Don't think anything can jump out in front of these creatures. Oh, I could have also Fire Blasted in response if I wanted to force the 4 damage against potential other counterspells, but I don't know. Yeah, 6/6 isn't going to do it. Upkeep. Scroll you. No sense in not taking my draw step here. So we just have to play around Gush Foil. Okay. That is the foil. But yeah, I've got 4 cards in my graveyard, so they have to answer this Grim Lavamancer that's on the battlefield. This could be a harder matchup. If my opponent had more board presence, they'd be in good shape, but of course they don't, so not a huge deal. Not sure how I'm going to sideboard, though. Things get a little bit trickier after sideboarding. So they showed me a lot of counter spells. They definitely have Gush, but I might just ship no changes. Ball Lightning, like everything's a little bit more awkward into days, but I've got the extra mana, and the best thing Pyroblast is going to do is protect me from counter spells. But it's like if my opponent's playing a counterspell game instead of a creature game, they're probably in trouble anyways. And the only other thought is that I could play these Earthquakes over some number of pups. So the question comes down to how bad is Jackal Pup in the face of Basking Root Walla? And then how good is Earthquake against Wild Mongrel, Arrogant Worm, and Roar the Worm, which are all bigger than Earthquake is ever going to be. Tricky spot. I'm just going to submit. I mean, I could trim a land for like a Price of Progress or something, but they're also like just on Yavimaya Coast. The mana is a little cleaner in the straight blue-green version that doesn't play survival. Earthquake could, in some worlds, catch like 2 Basking Root Wallas, which is kind of nifty. Pup is very bad on the draw, right? Because it's like, I go turn 1 Jackal Pup, they just go turn 2 Wild Mongrel, and then we just like hang out. But I still like the idea that Wild Mongrel can never attack through a Jackal Pup. Like it still forces my opponent to hold back stuff. But if they have like Wild Mongrel Root Walla, it's pretty good. All right, let's do the no pup plan. Not a bad opening hand here. Opponent on the Multi 5 opens on Island. Go. So they can daze a turn 1 Mog Fanatic and drew the 1 Price of Progress. This hand is not punishing of Mulligan as hard. Aquamoeba. I don't think Aquamoeba is good. Oh, I should have also gone for Fetch Land here. Let's run out of Seal of Fire. There's players who have played Stifle in their decks with random blue producing lands. Okay, so Aquamoeba is going to hold things down and then also makes Jackal Pup look even worse. So, but it'll always trade with a Mog Fanatic. This Aquamoeba is like never going to switch. No sense in running this Ball Lightning into Counter Magi. Is there sense running this Incinerate into Counter Magi? So this Incinerate is going to clear the way for my Mog. My opponent didn't play a green source or a land on their turn 3. If they want to logic this or double daze it, they're not in great shape. I think this Incinerate will allow for 3 plus net damage. It also takes out a Madness outlet, so if they're sitting on Arrogant Worm, they won't be able to get there. So we're good here. A blue blast is obviously fine. Yeah. Aquamoeba also makes me think that like a red blast could be here. Okay, so we're worried about Arrogant Worm, but they have no green source. Arrogant Worm also means that I can just trade my Mog for the Aquamoeba, which isn't like the end of the world. Yeah, there's the forest. Was hoping for a Yavimaya Coast there, obviously. Okay, so this is a turn where my opponent has to choose between Arrogant Worm or a counterspell. So it's a fine time to run out of Ball Lightning. Obviously, Daze lets them have it all, but they have 3 cards in hand. I mean, just is what it is, right? Frantic Search is quite good. Okay, I guess it's not that good, right? They're actually going down on cards here. They're going to Madness something out, like a Circular Logic. Ooh, Genesis. That's actually a good Genesis from this spot. Oh, Ball Lightning's going to get in. Ooh. Oh, man. Do I want to 2-for-1 this Aquamoeba? Probably still no. Nice. Full 6. Okay. That's gonna spell bad news for my opponent. Blue-green doesn't like have any like thing to do here. Genesis, pick up my Genesis is like not good, obviously, because of the tempo. I think my opponent's multi-5 has just kind of completely ruined them. I don't know if they had bad mana or they just like didn't have enough mana, but a Gush could get them out. Wild Mongrel is also not a bad draw, obviously. Okay, I can, so if I send, what do I have? I have 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 13 damage, so I'm 1 short of just kind of killing them outright. So I don't need to really fear this Mongrel with another Seal of Fire. I think everything's going face. It's going to take a while for this Mongrel to deal all the damage. How many counterspells can I beat? Not particularly many. So I have 15 damage right now for a full send. I have 2 cards in hand. They have to have counterspells in hand too. Just have to wait for them to play a non-basic land, and I can just like draw 1 more burn spell. I'm on like a 4-ish turn clock probably from this position. So we kind of move into a quasi gear 3 situation here. I mean, I'm not going to burn creatures, but I'm also not going to all in. I don't think my opponent should play that island. That island represents damage. Okay, it's just a Root Walla. Opponent with 1 card in hand is pretty dead to quite a bit of my range here. Yeah, Wooded Foothills is not a bad start. So I just need them to play like a non-basic land, or I can draw any burn spell. I can even draw Barbarian Ring. Oh, and I could kill Wild Mongrel if I felt like I needed to. But I think kill opponent is better than kill Wild Mongrel here. So block here, constrain their mana. Pump is like bad for me because it represents the possibility that they're going to damage me more. So I have a perfect 14 in my hand, but a point of damage means that a lightning bolt is more lethal. So this probably means face for me. So notably, I'm putting myself on a win against 1 counter spell with a top deck burn spell, but my opponent now is at a point where they can 2-turn clock me. So I'm not actually in the comfiest position, because if their hand contains 2 counter spells, like 2 blasts or something, I have to start burning creatures. But I guess if I have to start burning creatures, like not the end of the world. So we'll see where it goes from here. Yeah, so a little bit of flood. So now is the time that like these Seal of Fires have to go towards the Mongrel. Unless, of course, I'm just going to put them on 0 counter spells. So, and then I also want to Seal of Fire before, yeah. I guess I should have put myself in the range. Let's see. So I still want to beat 2 counter spells. Let's see, I can take up to, let's say I take the minimum, which is 6 damage, and then they can turn around and kill me if I brick again. I think I would have reduced the clock significantly if I Mogged Fanatic the Basking Root Walla. And then I also have my opponent could play an on-basic land. I'm willing to extend this game. I think even if they play their biggest stuff, I can suppress the creatures. Oh, it's a naturalize. Okay. I mean, they have the Genesis technically, but their Genesis takes 2 turns to develop against my situation. Okay, let's see what happens. Yeah, and they're going to go for it. So slow roll from them. I have 10 damage in hand, but I'm living in a 0 counterspell world. Unless I draw, because I'm still putting myself to up a burn spell. Let's see, pitching Roar the Worm. So now I have to go face. Roar the Worm. It's 8 damage. I can't really give up the Seal of Fire anymore. It's 4 damage, plus make a creature next turn, get in for another 4 to 6 damage. So yeah, it's all face from here, which is fine. Too bad my opponent didn't cast any non-basic lands, and I could have had blast this game at all. Oh, I can draw an Earthquake too. Earthquake is kind of reasonable. Okay, let's just draw Earthquake then. Lava Man. Lava Man's good, actually. Okay, a little blast on my Lava Man. Okay, so my opponent can get in for 6. Their last card in hand is Wild Mongrel. Okay, so I'm going to play... Yeah, so they just needed a not top deck a counterspell. And they did have the blast, so I think if I all in, I wouldn't have been able to get there. And notably, because my opponent Genesis and then top decked Roar the Worm, they put themselves a turn behind, so they actually had to take their draw step last turn. Because now this Roar the Worm is too late. If they had the 6/6 here, they would have just outright won the game. No, because they would have been tapped out. Well... No, because they would have been tapped out, but then they would have blasted. Okay, they're just face-upping their entire hand here. Okay, so any damage wins. Any damage except for her third Fire Blast. No, I needed this Rise of Progress needed to be a mountain. Oh boy. Even if oh my god. 3. Well, this position is not very good. Do this against Pump. So I have to send Fire Blast at Worm token, Seal Fire Worm token, the Fire Blast at one of these, and then they'll still have one of these. With the Genesis, they have a Wild Mongrel coming. Okay, I mean, stranger things have happened. Those 2 blue blasts got in there. Mog Face, Mog Root Wall instead of Mog Face probably could have given me maybe one more draw step because the Root Wall got in for about 6. And then for 14, I represent, no, but I needed to put Bolt in lethal range. They were on the multi 5, so that does not bode well for me. Pump Root Walla, switch Aquamoeba. I have to draw a Bolt off the top. Whereas I can add Mog Fennec to the range, take 3. Would I rather them use their mana? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm just dead. Let's bluff that I can have Red Blast in my range. Do I have another Aquamoeba? Another Aquamoeba is enough to kill me. Yeah. Okay. Needed to draw a non-Fire Blast burn spell. Unfortunate. Yeah, if I had bought a turn. I mean, my opponent could have played differently too to get slightly more leverage on me. And no non-basic lands. So there should be so lucky. I think Earthquake was actually quite good in a few spots there. Let's continue to play Gear 2. I like Roar of the Worm is the only thing, but Roar comes down on 4. It's like hopefully their life total is down at 4. I could have considered having pups on offense too. This is fine. I mean, I don't love double ball lightning, but I could. I mean, 2 is better than 1, right? They're on the mold of 6 again here. The question is if I bolt anything on turn 1. Won't have anything to bolt. I don't mind a Curse Scroll. I'll take a Curse Scroll with 2 same named cards around. This Curse Scroll does mean that my bolts can get dazed. Ooh. Spend some green mana. Why don't you? Okay, so my bolts can get dazed, but then that means my ball lightning won't get dazed. So we take those. Can't believe I got in with a ball lightning that last game and didn't win, huh? Sure, you may have a Ruwala. It's going to cost you a damage to pump it every time. Although my opponent did have their priorities right? They got Ruwala in, so if they daze here, they're kind of a god. So I could also just Naked Scroll, but I open myself up to hard cast Circular Logic on the following turn. Wouldn't my opponent daze to keep their Aquamoeba alive in so many spots? Like all the spots where they have Arrogant Worm, all the spots where they have Roar the Worm. Like their hand has to be Island, Frantic Search, Daze for not dazing to make sense. I think this ball lightning gets in. Yeah, Wild Mongrel. Wild Mongrel with red or blue open is quite good. Wild Mongrel with blue open. So I think I'm still going to ball lightning because this Curse Scroll is going to be online next turn. And Circular Logic technically doesn't get me, so it has to be Blue Blast. It's a sketchy spot. They could at any point tap out for Roar the Worm. I could also Mize this Curse Scroll. It's a big mana efficiency turn for me. I think I need to get this Curse Scroll online. If I don't cast this ball lightning on this turn, then I don't think I'll be able to get it out of my hand on later turns, and I need the Curse Scroll to start working the battlefield. Even if I just Curse Scroll Mongrel every turn, it's not the end of the world, right? And then the upside of them not having Blast is also completely nuts. Yeah, they're going to go ahead and pitch 2 to sink into the Mongrel so that they can turn on their Circular Logic is also an outcome that I'm kind of fine with. And then our Curse Scroll can just control the board from this state too. I can also trade a Fire Blast for Wild Mongrel, but I don't think that's good. Unless their hand is exactly Roar the Worm. So how much damage do I have on the table? I kind of have I kind of have 8 damage access right now. So I still basically feel I'm going to play a creature control game. I don't know if I'm going to Fire Blast a Wild Mongrel though. With 1 card in hand, I can just Curse Scroll it every turn. They could start drawing lands. I have 3 mana though. I think I might. I mean, I'm just gonna have Curse Scroll online next turn, right? And then I'm also cutting off Arrogant Worm because I just don't have enough damage. If I had a Sulfuric, if I had Sulfuric Vortex in play, they're just whatever. If I had a Sulfuric Vortex in play, it would have gotten countered. Careful study into what? Yeah, just to get rid of some stuff. Ruwala gets in, has to hold up the activation. Let Curse Scroll do all the work from here. They can never go for Natural Eyes. So I could kill this Root Wall. It would cost me 2 Curse Scroll activations and only get them in for 1 damage. So I think Scrolling Face is still a lot better, except for against this Aquamoeba. So I'm happy to scroll the Root Wall from here. Put the Aquamoeba on notice. Technically counts as a burn spell. It's an inefficient one, but not the end of the world. Can't be countered. Currently winning this race. Double Aquamoeba does not, I do not fear 1/1s when it attacks. Contemplates a little Aquamoeba-ing, goes for it. So technically, if they flashback this Roar the Worm, I go Scroll Face, Bolt, Ring. So 3 mana Scroll Face. 3 mana Scroll Face again is 4. So Bolt end a turn. So I'll be 1 mana short even if I draw a land. But if I draw a burn spell, they're also dead. Scroll Face, Bolt, Ring. And this Roar the Worm definitely represents 2 turn clock. Take 4. I need to keep my damage up for Barbarian Ring. So I go Scroll Face them down to 9. Bolt them down to 6. Scroll Face them down to 9. Bolt them down to 6. I'm going to untap. They're going to be at 6 life. I'll have a scroll, 0 cards in hand, and 2 Barbarian Rings. And then they certainly can kill me with the Roar the Worm on the table. Alternately, if I kill the Aquamoeba, but they can't kill me with the Roar the Worm. Well, they get. I'm like also gaining 3 life here by doing this play. So this is basically like a fog, right? Because this will buy me a turn. It'll spend a turn to buy a turn. So what are my outs if they open on 6 life? Fire Blast, Ball Lightning. Ball Lightning would just kill the Worm token. Fire Blast, Ball Lightning, and another Lightning Bolt do it. But I could just draw like Mog Fanatic. I'm going to continue. I'm going to buy the turn with the scroll. Okay, they get in for 1. I assume they play a land. Oh, okay. Then we can afford to continue to be patient, I think. Because if I bolt face them down to 8, like 8, 6, they still go down to 6. And then if I draw runner, land, I still win. I could have also considered that bolt does 1 damage to me here. I'm okay with this pace, I think. I'm not positive. Incinerate wasn't an out last turn, notably. This might be a good game for me to look back on and figure out if I could have been more efficient. Oh man, this is not a good time for Magic Online to start being super bad. Go for Naturalize here. Okay, 8, 5. Then we're down to any burn spell. Let's go for it. Bolt face. Okay, that ended up being a close one, but we got there. Right as Moto started lagging to death. But yeah, GG's.
All right, we are in round 2 of the league. We've got burn. We've got the play. We've got a playable hand. This hand kind of sucks, honestly. Hand sucks. It's only got 15 damage. But it's got a very efficient Seal of Fire. Oh, I keep on forgetting to fetch first. Gotta fetch. Gotta get this stuff in the yard. Gotta thin mountains. If I draw a mountain, I blame it entirely on the fetch. Especially when your opponent is threatening to put Fire Extinct Dreadnought into play. Yep. That's all because I didn't fetch. Quicksand. Oh, it's just mono blue control. Interesting. So now we're just transitioning immediately into a don't get anything counterspelled ever plan. And Quicksand is also hilariously good against Ball Lightning. Have an Incinerate. I would even Fire Blast there if it weren't for the fact that I could get other good stuff under. So mono blue decks are going to be pretty tough with the sideboard chills coming in. Chills plus counterspells are generally quite good, but game 1's tends to be fine. I think my opponent might be tempted to just use Quicksand here against the Ball Lightning. They really don't ever play stuff on their main phase. So if their next play is Parallax Tide, I'm going to be happy that Ball Lightning got in. Or, Ball Lightning got countered. Why didn't they give it flying? Should have just given it flying. So opponent being pretty efficient, but not efficient with their mana, right? So they got the Quicksand value, but they didn't do anything with their mana that turn. Barbarian Ring. So we're going to start holding lands for fear of Tide. I don't know about casting this Ball Lightning here. Obviously it eats this mana leak, but I'm not going to try to wait till 6 mana on the ball. I know they don't have like an extra impulse from not the fact they didn't impulse last turn, but they also didn't counter last turn. Like last turn would have been the turn of mana leak, right? You always have the Quicksand. Getting antsy to use the Quicksand felt like a tell. Okay, these Barbarian Rings are actually active with a Fire Blast activation. So there's a Powder Keg. Might take it up to 3. Okay. Don't even know if I want Price of Progress in this matchup. Price of Progress is probably better than Seal of Fire though. Seal of Fire does get Mishra's Factory. Does get some good stuff. So yeah, it's an interesting matchup. The fact that they threaten Tide means that I have to be judicious about my lands. But typical Gear 3 strategy means that I would want to play lands so that I can unload my hand. But we're really just going to play who blinks first, I think. Yeah. So it's time for Tide. I'll use this mana. Why not? Okay. Happy to pass on that one. Opponent being very judicious. I don't know, play around days, I guess. I forgot to Fire Blast, obviously, but it's okay. And the Fire Blast would have definitely resolved, but it's okay. We're drawing plenty of lands. Yeah, I would have liked the Fire Blast to resolve to get my Barbarian Rings online, but my Barbarian Rings at least will be online thanks to a Seal of Fire. I think I might... okay, you may do that. Classic mistake. Okay, so this just give me a long game. Eventually I'm going to win. They can tide me a lot of times, but they obviously need to do something. Like, you know, the resources here, 2 of their cards. Probably start attacking with Mishras now that I've got the pump. Okay, it could be close. I mean, I'm not like ahead on the race. I think I'm gonna happily bolt some Mishra's Factories here. Although if I go for life total, what is this? 7 plus 6 is 13. Never mind. I'm gonna let bolt be part of my closer plan, especially if my opponent opts for nothing. 2 a turn is just not gonna be fast enough against my draw step. And I can always start bolting factories when I get in trouble. Opponent is planning on not letting me resolve any spells. I'm just gonna eat a counter here. Yep, easy. Threshold for free. My 4 Barbarian Rings are gonna be quite good here. Okay, full pass. What does that usually mean? Full pass from the blue deck? They want to like stroke a genius at the end of turn or something? Can't imagine them doing that. I'm willing to eat a Stifle, especially because I only have 2 vegetables left in my deck. Drawn a lot of mountains this game. Could have definitely been a little bit more efficient, I think. So this could be close. At least I have all instants in my hand in case this is something intense. Factor Fiction, sure. None of these matter. Impulse is really all that matters. This Chain of Vapor does pretty much nothing. So the Factory and the Impulse are equal power. And then the Factory is slightly better than the Impulse. Okay, they take the 3 pile. That was Impulse, Chain of Vapor, and whatnot. So this does signify to me that Parallax is going to come down. And it will be a double Parallax, so it will be time at that point. Okay, no Parallax. It's good for me. So the question is, can I overload? Put them at a virtual 6, so I just need to stick 2. I have a few. This, of course, can still get stifled, so gonna cash. Second Fire Blast is pretty sick. It's gonna let me be quite efficient here. Well, in fact, second Fire Blast meant that I had to. Second Fire Blast meant that I actually had to play Mountain that turn because of the possibility of getting tided. Okay, these all don't matter. I already know that he has Chain of Vapor. How much does Chain of Vapor matter? It really just doesn't. But these also don't matter. So you should just take the Impulse pile. Yep. Takes the Impulse pile. Goes for Impulse. They're going to take a lot of burn damage. Doesn't go for Impulse. Smart. But yeah, Tide here is good. Okay, put my opponent in a virtual 6. I need to stick 2 spells against their 8 cards in hand. And still plenty of time to work with. So best draw is obviously Lightning Bolt. Bloodstained Mire. This isn't... So every point does matter from here. I might want to draw mountains if I'm under the threat of Parallax Tide. Mountains might be better draws than Jackal Pups and whatnot. Random stuff, random guys. Impulse. Opponent representing 2 counter spells. Only have to be scared of Force Spike, I think. I think it's reasonable to be able to play around triple, to just play around triple counter spell here, right? So counter spell. How about Fire Blast? Interestingly, if I don't pay here, I beat a Force Spike. Is Force Spike the only possible card they can have? Divert, Misdirection, possible Misdirection. I could stick this. Really wish I had one more land in play, but it's okay. Force Spike is the card. Okay, so I probably should have just played to beat Force Spike, huh? It's fine. Oh, yeah, that's a blunder. You really just can't do stuff like that. I was just playing too loose. Like I feel like I had the read for Force Spike and I just like refused to play around it. Refused to play around a triple counter spell, right? Because I could just let that resolve, go for the other Fire Blast, go for, yeah. If it's tied here, then it's pretty much Chain of Vapor, fine. I'll stick a Stifle now. Standstill, sure. Standstill is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I deserve a loss here, honestly. It's just too inefficient how I was working, and just like blindly, just like not choosing to take the sensible line here is pretty bad. So GG's opponent. Hopefully they draw all tides here. They have 4 copies of Force Spike. Okay, let's just play around Force Spike. Jesus Christ! Oh my God, I just had it. Brain's falling apart. It's fine. It's fine. For Alex Tide, sure. That resolves. Okay, pretty bad stuff for me over here. Really got to reel it in for game 2. So instant speed is king. Resolving stuff is important. So it's going to be hard to resolve stuff under chill. However, opponent's only win con is like man lands and stuff. So I should have just bolted Mishra's Factories and stuff like that. Okay, we're actually just going to play Overload to blow up Mishra's Factory, right? It just seems totally okay. Overload more reliably blows up Mishra's Factory. Seal of Fire is like, it's like they even have Stifle. So Seal of Fire turns on their Stifle, which I don't love. I don't know. I'm on tilt, but let's just get untilted. And Price of Progress will just deal more damage as an instant than Jackal Pup. But Pup's pretty good at punishing standstill. It's kind of hard to say. Guess I should give myself the opportunity to get lucky, right? It's like everything in my deck kills Mishra's Factory. Now, why do I want to blow up Mishra's Factory if they just like want to let Price of Progress go up? So I could even board out Incinerate, just play Seal of Fire. Let's go with the blended approach. Overload's always going to have a target, whether it's Powder Keg or some other nonsense. Seems like a fine hand to me. Got to remember to start with the fetch. Okay, this game is over. I know I said the other game was going to end with me victorious, but this game is going to end with me victorious here. That was very annoying to get this, get that sound. Nice little stacky. Best card to resolve. I'm going to have to Chain of Vapor my Sulfuric Vortex to get under it. Love the sound of that. Tide. It's their only option. It's understandable. Attack for 2. And then opponent like would have to try to race my Tide. Of course, this very conclave is forever going to be under this Mog Fanatic. And then if I ever find a mountain, this Mishra's Factory will also never be able to attack. They are getting all man land, so not a bad spot. But yeah, even this chill here doesn't really change the math for me. And then I can just go face, of course. So the Chain of Vapor will do the thing though, for what it's worth. Chain of Vapor will get there. Okay, Impulse is a card. And if I didn't draw that Vortex, I would have lost. Oh, I got all my mountains. That's pretty good. I can also flash Chain of Vapor. Ooh, fun stuff. They have to go for the Chain of Vapor. So I, of course, can bounce the chill here. Oh, but then they can bounce the Sulfuric Vortex. So I don't actually want them to, I don't actually want to bounce the chill. Oh, but they are going to bounce the Sulfuric Vortex no matter what. Yeah, I'll bounce the chill. They want to keep sacking lands. It's kind of fine for me because I can just kill them. But I guess I was going to cast Incinerate anyways. I don't know. Them sacking lands has got to be good, right? And then if I just draw a mountain, like I get an extra Mog Fanatic into play. Yeah, and this is just lethal. So I was 1 damage inefficient here. Okay. Need to draw double Pyroblast again, huh? I guess we have to believe that Incinerate is better than Overload, but it's hard to say. It's possible that Seal of Fire is better than Incinerate just for the reason that it's 1 mana. The Vortex Dream, slightly less alive on the draw. Still a very necessary dream. Maybe they don't have Powder Kegs. It's kind of important to catch Powder Kegs to protect my Curse Scroll. Curse Scroll, one of the only ways to like just completely get through. I think I'm going to like open my hand and I'm going to be like, does this hand beat a chill? Does it like beat chill plus Tide? Does Incinerate make it more or less likely that my hand beats chill plus Tide? So Seal of Fire helps me attack through Fairy Conclave. Overload helps me attack through Mishra's Factory. So Seal of Fire might just be the best card. Just trying to be like low curve. My opponent being a 4-spike deck. It's like I've got to respect that. My Vortex got in for a lot of damage that time. So like the plan is still like kind of resolve a Vortex. Find a way to handle chill. All my creatures are important to beat chill. They're important to beat the Tide plan. And then I just want to kill. I want to bolt factories, right? But Overload protects my creatures from Keg. Overload can protect my creatures from both Keg and Mishra's Factory. So it still feels like it's a reasonable card here. The only problem is obviously I have to draw it in front of the Keg, which is just like pretty unlikely to happen. But the rest of the time it blows up Mishra's Factories. Maybe I'm overvaluing Price of Progress because I'm going to try to deal with factories. I think being more mana efficient than my opponent is like a pretty big one, but who's to say? All right, already a pivotal question, whether or not we hold up Pyroblast for the incoming chill. I think we can afford to do that. Now the question becomes if we are going to wait until we have Pyroblast plus something for the 4-spike. Okay. Opponent apparently rich in Hydroblast. How happy am I to resolve a Curse Scroll? Probably not like ecstatic. Let's go ahead and just Price of Progress for 6 on their end step. Oh, okay. I'm going to prioritize resolving Price of Progress for 8. These are all good cards to have. Really want to hit land drops here. Opponent going to go for Fact or Fiction. Okay, let's see what they get first. Bunch of lands. So do it like this, right? They have standstill with a bunch of lands. They'll also get cleaned up. Okay. Yeah, we'll resolve this for 8. Don't think it gets better than that. Standstill. Pop. Opponent's gonna have something to say. I've got this extra overload to use though. Pop trades the quicksand, of course. Yeah, I'm kind of concerned. I have 2 concerns. One's pretty simple. One is that I gave my opponent 2 islands, so they are going to hit their next island drop exactly. And I have to start using my mana. If I can develop the scroll, I'll also benefit. If I can develop the Sulfuric Vortex, that'll be the highest possible benefit. Okay, let my opponent clean up 2 cards. They have the fear that I'll have stuff to counter. So Standstill only drew 1, got in a couple damage. Another price. Yeah, that's the tension. We'll probably be able to resolve this price at some point. Play a pup, make it so that they never resolve this quicksand. 15 life. Not a lot of stuff. Still kind of playing the double Hydroblast game, Pyroblast game. Really worried about this Force Spike. Kind of just like don't want to play anything because of Force Spike. Goes for Chill. Chill with double Counterspell would obviously be good. Just kind of waiting to set that up. So maybe I could have chosen that as the turn to get Jackal Pup into play. Okay, Mana Link resolves. Counterspell resolves. Draw a land. Price of Progress for 6 could be good. Or just get rid of this. Open myself up to Tide, but what can you do? I drew 3 Pyroblasts. I can't ask for more. If my opponent just has the Tide, then they have the Tide. Pup, and play another Pup. Counterspell on the Pup. Okay. Both on low resources. Continuing to play around Force Spike here. Third card, Fairy Conclave. Looking tasty for my Price of Progress. Opponent holding up mana again. Okay, if I draw a land, this is going to be the turn I stick something. I like threatening the Curse Scroll here. Oh, Curse Scroll resolved. Okay, I'm at a pretty low life total. I have no direct damage burn for these Fairy Conclaves besides my Barbarian Ring. And I need to weave this Price of Progress in before Conclave hits. My opponent is 1 land away from a triple activation, but you know, I smell a Fact or Fiction, no fact. Animate. Second animation. I kind of want a Barbarian Ring Fairy Conclave because I don't want to have my life total go so low. So yeah, I think I'm going to do it. Even though resolving Price of Progress here is obviously good for 8 damage. We'll Stifle. Okay, it's fine. Price of Progress for 8. Force this Quicksand activation so that my opponent can only animate 2 Conclaves next turn. Or 1 Conclave would be fine, and they can activate 2 Conclaves the following turn. I'm going to die to Fairy Conclaves. A little bit funny, a little bit awkward. This Overload is looking really awkward. Yeah, I mean, we made some misevaluations, I would say. Vortex actually proving awkward in this spot as well. Notably, so mistakes were made. We got to win game 1, right? Animate. Yeah, GG. Super awkward, but it happens. And of course the Fire Blast, the next card. So yeah, we could have been a lot more efficient. Yeah, too many awkward decisions. Well, at least that showcases how you can blunder a lot with burn. I think with that last game, I was lucky that the pops stuck, and I couldn't have made a plan where like my pops would always be good because my opponent could just not draw non-basics. But once the pops did land, I didn't have a good way to capitalize on the final damage. So just did 18 damage, and obviously the overload and the second overload was super bad. So my opponent apparently didn't have kegs. Playing against Sackboy, a fixture in the Lanny Nini Premodern videos. And we have the absolute nuts against elves here. So we're going to go Lavamancer, Fanatic, instead of Fanatic Lavamancer, because what's going to happen is they're going to play turn 1 elf. We're going to Fanatic it down, and then get an attack in with our Lavamancer, have Bolt up for the follow-up, and if we draw Fetch Land, then we can just have Lavamancer up, activation up. Fetch Land is, of course, disgusting here. And then that's going to make it so that we can Ball Lightning into a clean board, which is the absolute dream. And, of course, opponent being behind on mana is really good for us. Okay, so we're going to prioritize killing this Ranger, because the Ranger is going to give them 2 mana next turn, which we don't want them to have. We're just going to play kind of a pseudo Ponza game here. Drawing too many lands. We don't play the extra lands for the sake of elves, though. We play it for the sake of every other deck, so it's fine. And with this 6 connecting, another 6 here. And then another 4 here. 6 plus 6 plus. So 6, bring them down to 7, 4 down to 5. We're just 2 burn spells away. And opponent with no survival of the fittest is not going to be happy. No 2-drop either. Tangle Wire a consideration here. Jackal Pup totally fine. And we're just going to continue to operate at instant speed. Cradle. There's a Granger. Granger, of course, kind of annoying because it'll get their mana going. So yeah, now I'm just going to serve it all to face and work towards the game getting over. Some consideration for hitting the symbiote, but if I just draw a 1 mana burn spell or a fire blast, they're just like dead. Because the symbiote is annoying enough. I have the option to pick up the Granger, take 2 damage on the chin. They do not. We have a Seal of Fire. Pretty clean seal here. Happy to force them to pay 3 mana rather than... Yeah, I want to charge them for... Oh, but I do get this extra damage? No, I want to charge them for the 2/2. And yeah, we can still get it all done from hand with the extra burn spell and extra damage. So let's force them to pay their mana. Probably send everything face. Send everything face. Get an attack with Jackal Pup, and then if we draw everything. So we send everything to face, it's 7 damage. We attack with Jackal Pup, they put something in the graveyard. So it's 1 mana off, which, you know, it's not all the mana we need. Okay, yeah, let's just going to be maximize efficiency here. Don't feel the need to hold back additional resources. Just get in for a clean 3. Of course, just going to chill in case we draw Cursed Scroll exactly. And we're 2 to 19. Opponent ended up being flooded. Kind of a strange one. And then, yeah. Okay, Elves. No Lava Dart for Elves. So we're going to be executing on the Earthquake plan. Basically just decided that my Sulfuric Vortex plan was so good that Earthquake was going to do it. Earthquake can defeat the Elves' Menace in the form of Call the Herd. Call the Herd, just the Elves' Menace. Can't port out all my Jackal Pups, which is too bad, but it's fine. Earthquake's going to do all the work. It's time. It's time for the quake. Time for the Earthquake. All right, let's fire up game 2. Let's see how the burn sideboard plan goes for Elves. Well, my 22 land deck, sometimes delivering the goods, but at least we have Earthquake. Lead on Cursed Scroll into Earthquake for 2. It's going to be great. Or Earthquake for 1. Hopefully we're looking at Dork. Yeah. Well, this might make me want to consider Monk Fanatic. Doesn't matter. This is actually an interesting one. Eventually I want to remove the symbiote so that like my opponent can't save something from the Earthquake. So it's a consideration. Developing the Cursed Scroll doesn't like matter immensely. I'm going to play something. I'm going to use my mana. It is magic after all. I think I'll play Monk Fanatic because if my opponent goes double 1-drop, I'm going to want to kill them both. I will also want to maybe kill a Priest of Titania. Ranger. Right. Puts me in an interesting spot. Can choose to relax for 1 turn. This mountain does make me feel pretty good about relaxing for 1 turn because I can go Earthquake for 1 into whatever. I do risk Caller of the Claw, exactly. Don't expect that to be a problem. So let's develop this Cursed Scroll and execute on that plan. Because once I Earthquake for 1, Grim Lavamancer, I can pretty much destroy every elf that enters the battlefield from there or start pressuring life total. So this is almost exactly what we want, unless our opponent has Caller of the Claw or Natural Order. Kind of forgot about Natural Order, but fine. Does that change what I'm going to do? We'll see. This isn't a break point, and I need my mana anyways. Kind of don't want to show my Earthquake technology to my opponent, but beggars cannot be choosers. Guess I should have Earthquaked for 1. I'll know next time. Yep. Got me for 6. Hopefully I draw Fire Blast. That Multani's Acolyte, kind of annoying. Okay. Guess we want another Earthquake or something. Doesn't actually matter. Barbarian Ring, Float, Fire Blast. It's not like I have a choice. Ring, Float, Fire Blast, Cursed Scroll activation. Naming Ring. Opponent picking up the Acolyte. Probably have to take down the Symbiote. Yeah. Opponent's turn 3 Natural Order. Good enough. Didn't cast my Earthquake when I should have. An additional National Order. Sure, let's see if they run both monsters. I need my Goblin Sharpshooter here. Okay, that was going to be a little bit too hard. Okay, what does a Natural Order change? Changes not too much. Ball lightning gets a little worse, maybe. Do I want my plan to be a Jackal Pup then? Jackal Pup Earthquake? No, let's just hope they don't draw a Natural Order. They're just green deck after all. So they're not going to Sylvan Library into their Natural Order. And obviously we can beat life gain with Sulfuric Vortex. Lavamancer, Bolt. This has all the cards that I want. If I draw a land, I can point stuff at the face. If I draw 2 lands, I can point stuff at the face. If I don't draw lands, I can point stuff at elves. Obviously, I hate bolting elves more than the plague, but I can even kill Wall of Roots with a land drop. And of course, I have the potential to just send everything to face. This is like 9. It's enough damage. Just need to draw mountains. Grim, Incinerate, Grim, Incinerate, Ball Lightning. Grim attacks 3 times. It's not going to attack 3 times, but Grim. Let's say I just like full send. 3. Yeah, it's fine. Opponent's on the mulligans. So Grim Lavamancer out. Opponent. Dork. Dork must get bolted. I don't even bolt the bird. I bolt the bird sometimes. Okay. Already lots to consider. I have so much damage. I might just incinerate an attack, right? Because a Bolt Face, Lavamancer down. Bolt Elf, hold up Lavamancer activation. Next card could be a Wall of Roots. Could bolt down the Wall of Roots. Why don't I incinerate the elf, attack, bolt down a Wall of Roots on 2 with the Lavamancer activation. Ends up being very similar of a line, but gets the incinerate out of my hand, and a turn where getting incinerated out of my hand is good. If my opponent plays Survival of Fittest, I'm kind of punished by just a Grim Lava Man face from that spot. And if it's something inoffensive, I can just play full Sulfuric Vortex, right? Yeah, there's the Wall of Roots. No follow-up to the wall, so we're going to just... Oh, so yeah, so what happens if we just like Vortex and race? Vortex, they put a 7/7 into play, then I go Bolt, Lavamancer, 7/7 trample into play. I go Bolt, Lavamancer. That's 8 damage. It's 10 damage. They untap there at 9. They attack me for 9. I go down to 10. I play Ball Lightning. Bolt Lavamancer is 8, 10 damage. They go down to 9. Then they go down to 7. I play Ball Lightning. They go down to 1. Fire Blast cleans it up. Many things clean it up. On the other hand, I can make it so they never cast Natural Order ever. And just like I don't have to worry about it. It's kind of crazy spots. So imagine I do it the other way where I get in for 6 with Ball Lightning guaranteed this turn. Then they spend all their mana on... No, I'm going to go Vortex. Yeah, okay. So what I could do is I could Ball Lightning this turn and then Vortex the following turn. And then if I Ball Lightning... So if I do it like that, then let's assume they take it, they Natural Order, then I play Vortex. So I've gotten in for 8 net damage. If I draw a land, I can fit in 10. And that's just like Bolt Lava Man for the remaining. And I kind of need to sneak one in. It's like I really don't want this Wall of Roots to suck up 5 damage, right? I think I like that line. It's a little bit weird, but if I played the Sulfuric Vortex, my opponent can just go get Verdant Force. I guess they wouldn't get Verdant Force because they would just get chump blocked down. So we're going to do that. They're going to go get Nishoba. I'm going to Vortex. They're just going to miss. Oh, they're going to get Nishoba with buddies and have the Wall of Roots up. Okay, so my line was very good against this play. So if we draw a land, it's like this. We go Vortex 4. So we're going to do 4, 10 damage, and then we're going to untap and deal 2 more, and then the Vortex is going to do the final 2. So a Naturalize can get us. A Master Core can get us. I guess I should have thought about the possibility of Naturalize, but this outcome essentially meant that it's very hard for them to have never got the window to cast Natural Order, but they don't have Naturalize. They do have Naturalize. It's really bad. Oh no, dude. No, you can't be, okay. So if I obviously could have killed the wall, and then I could have killed 2 creatures, and then they just never would have been able to cast Natural Order, and then I would have just landed Vortex and then just done exactly the same thing, just a lot slower. So my line just ended up being way too greedy. Ugh, devastating. I mean, that's Magic for you, baby. Havmog Fanatic certainly helps us hit this Nishoba 7 times. I mean, should I be hitting other nonsense too at the same time? Probably, just to stop my opponent from having any mana. I mean, it's the same thing. It just takes damage off the board. Obviously, it's not trample damage, but whatever. Just atrocious. Just such a disgusting Naturalize. Okay, Lightning Bolt, do your thing. Man, imagine if I had Flaring Pain for their Phantom Nishoba. Oh, that's not good. I guess the reason to not hit the 1/1s is because I might draw Earthquake and then sweep them up for free. I guess I needed to consider Curse Scroll. Phantom Nishoba, a little 7-for-1 action. I would attack with Finhorn, of course. Yeah. So we're going to do this. Just Just tragic naturalize from like just greed. I was just like, after I saw the board state, I was like, oh, I guess naturalize busts this up. And then I was like, okay, that's a mistake. Like I just should have been aware of the possibility. Well, that's the natural order is that'll do it. Okay, you got me. I should have just not been a dumbass. Oh my God. 2 losses on video to just not being smart. All right, round 4 versus Lekmaner. Hopefully my play skill turns around. But, we got a pup on the play, so can't be mad about that. Opponent has a deck with removal, ritual, Sarcomancy, Dothior. This tends to be quite a good matchup for burn. Pretty willing to take the trade here to just clear the battlefield. I guess I could have just shocked first. This is actually the Who's to Beat Down story. Playing Mono Red Burn against, or Sly versus Suicide Black, I guess one might say. But yeah, this Sarcomancy is going to do all the work for me, of course. Well, the Grim is going to do all the work for me, but yeah. Ooh, another Sarcomancy just to deal 2 damage to themselves a turn. Don't mind that at all. It's like a Vortex for me without having to cast Vortex. Opponent pretty brave to cast that second Sarcomancy. This is a funny one where Pup is good and Earthquake is good. I'll probably still do Pup over Earthquake. Sure. I mean, there's no, probably just start going face, right? Against any potential like hatred, unholy strength shenanigans, I'm covered. I mean, a bad moon is obviously good for them, but they're just dead to their own Sarcomancy. Well, they're just dead, period. I can't even die to Ritual Karavek Spite. All right, an abundance, an embarrassment of riches here. I'm almost down to resubmit. Say Earthquake's better than Ball Lightning. Well, at least we get some easy ones. All right, got a little Pup Bolt Incinerate start, not bad. Opponent's Dark Ritual is obviously good here, and 2 Fire Blasts isn't exciting, but and the Barbarian Ring is also bad. So opponent could race me here. They do have a Ritual start. Ritual Duress, less meaningful. If it's Ritual Duress double 2/2, it's definitely good, but I'll trade a Pup for a 2/2 and then the Incinerate for the other one. Yeah, that's not the end of the world. I do need mountains, but my Jackal Pup is gonna brawl with the Slayer. Double Slayer, double Incinerate. Swamp Ritual Hatred gets me, or it doesn't get me because I have Fire Blast, never mind. And they know I have Fire Blast. See if they have any removal of their own, or a Bad Moon, obviously. Bad Moon's like one of the best cards against me. Ooh, that's a pretty good Grim Lavamancer. But yeah, this is how Magic used to be played, right? A little Spinning Darkness. Okay, it's good value there. That was how Mike Flores sideboarded in the matchup. Get a lot of Spinning Darkness in. Try to not be the beatdown deck. But Grim Lavamancer, of course, producing a oppressive amount of card advantage here. A little removal spell on the Grim. It's fine. Okay, we've got 11 in hand. We've got Earthquake. Earthquake just in time. So Earthquake is going to be a blaze this game. Bad Moon is, of course, quite good, but not very relevant at this particular moment. Negator deals combat damage, sacrifice a permanent. So should I Earthquake for 2, or should I Incinerate plus Seal of Fire? Or should I Fire Blast it? I'm not going to let that hit me. I'm going to stay efficient here. Obviously, sacrificing Barbarian Ring for Earthquake is bad, but I'd like to keep my... I mean, I just wanted to be damage efficient. I didn't really want to waste a point on Earth. Talk about efficiency. I'm about to Fire Blast this Drink of Sorrow. So can I go 5 plus 8 is 13, 14, 15? No, I cannot. So still a little inefficient here, but it's fine. Don't mind a bolt. So we're representing 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Clean target for bolt. 5 plus 8 is 13, 14, 14, 15, 16. Still short. Bad Moon getting tons of value so far. See if this Pup eats a Spinning Darkness. But yeah, I would like to remove some of my opponent's life total here. Have to get him down somewhat. Sure. Gonna Fire Blast that, funnily enough, unless I don't have to. So say this Pup gets in for 4, so they'll go to 15, 13, 9, 5, 3. It's not quite. So if we get another 2 damage in and another burn spell in, it'll be fine. Did to Spinning Darkness if I let this Slayer hit me one more time. Don't really feel like having this Fire Blast be used on the Slayer. No top deck gets me out, because I'll only have 12 12 plus whatever. Only targets non-black creatures. Yeah. Let's stick to our guns here. Yeah, this Fire Blast Earthquake plan is not really feeling that good, but feels like I'm a little too vulnerable. I think I need balls. My opponent's apparently light on removal. Spinning Darkness is good against ball lightning though. I kind of needed, I just need to draw curse scrolls and stuff. Crown of Age, Foothills. Looks like I'm gonna be too far gone to the onslaught here. Gonna block with this pup and seal of fire this Carnophage. Pup might have been better on the play for me this game. Duress, yeah. Skittering Surge is flying. Earthquake doesn't even hit there. I just need to preserve my life total. My life total got too low too fast. So Pup is just super bad against Spinning Darkness because I take 3. But it's good against Spinning Darkness and that all of my entire deck is Spinning Darkness targets. No choice here but to block and take 3. Let's find like a Grim Lavamancer or something. Curse Scroll, obviously. Okay. Might be interesting to look back on this game and figure out the if I needed to pivot at a certain point. Feels relatively tame. I guess I can't have Earthquake and Jackal Pup in my deck at the same time. It's just how it goes. Mesmeric Core, sure. I can't get whatever they take back, but also this dice to everything. Doesn't die to Mock Fanatic. I guess I could have saved that bolt, but they're undoubtedly attacking, and I just need a chip. I'm at a point where Fire Blast could maybe bail me out of this. My opponent is just all Spinning Darkness. Don't mind that. Another Mesmeric Fiend. Clean trade with my Barbarian Ring on the table. No lethal calculations on my mind just yet, but I will be in a force to draw position. I'll be mana efficient here since I don't want to pop these fetch lands if I don't have to. Sure. Smog Fanatic getting in for its like 5th or 6th or 7th. Like I don't even know at this point. Lots of damage. It's turn 20 in the mono red versus mono black matchup, so that's kind of cool. I have the potential for a Earthquake for 5. There's the Fire Blast. Opponent decides that it's time for the Vendetta. Okay, so imagine take 1, cast Sulfuric Vortex, put my opponent down to 7, and me down to 3. So at this point, I can absolutely force a draw with the Vortex in play. I can also force a draw fire blasting the face with the creature probably. So I can do 5 with the Earthquake. Yeah, so I might just force a draw next turn. Or not force, I won't be able to force the draw actually because I'll pop 1, go down to 5, play Vortex. I can actually take 3 Vortex hits. So if I can take the 3rd Vortex hit, then my opponent can take the 4th. Or I can take 2 Vortex hits. So I can let this Vortex deal 6 on Fire Blast plus Barbarian Ring. And if my opponent plays a creature, I can Fire Blast the creature. Need my opponent to brick on creatures for 1 more turn, possibly. I guess I'll just, I can Earthquake in front. I can Earthquake for 3, even if I pop 2 fetch lands. Withered Wretch. Sure, they can not take me off threshold. A little Magic Online Crash. We'll go down till 1. Dead to Karavik Spite. Puts my opponent down to 8. And then Vortex, Fire Blast. I guess I should have just done this math because this was lethal last turn. Because Vortex, Fire Blast, Ring Activation gets them. So I could have done this exact same sequence, but with a Sulfuric Vortex in play. A little bit of a blunder there. They're going to Ritual to take me off of threshold. Can't quite. I still have plenty. And if they play another Withered Wretch, they can do it. Did my opponent take any damage? I don't know why I didn't count the mana. I didn't count the damage up correctly last turn. It's kind of a silly mistake. I think the recording is making me pretty sloppy, I would say. It's unfortunate because, yeah, it's exactly lethal. I counted it up and just didn't have it right. Guess I still Fire Blast him. Have a line to draw a basic mountain. And, of course, Shock or Barbarian Ring. All right. Me at 1 life. My opponent at 0. GG's. All right. Match 5 against Phil. Phil only plays the Rock. I think Phil probably has his Vern matchup figured out, but we'll see if that's true. We'll see if it's true versus my Sulfuric Vortex as well. Sulfuric Vortex, of course, being my favorite card against Ravenous Baloth. No creatures. Not great, but does have the Vortex. So yeah, it can land the Vortex on 3 and possibly just deal all the damage with burn. Could just be a Gear 1 situation. You know, we're opening on 15 in hand, kind of 17 if you consider that the Vortex probably hits twice. But opponent obviously is going to be able to duress us down and give us the business. Treetop Village. Seal of Fire. Yeah, Seal of Fire is pretty efficient here. Wall of Roots is obviously good for my opponent. They Therapy for Bolt, they're God. Okay, we're going to hit Vortex in time. So if my opponent has no discard, they're dead. Of course, they drew into it. Ball Therapy obviously does the job here too. Just to duress. Yeah, you're allowed to duress me. I'm going to cast 1 bolt this turn no matter what. They have to take the Vortex, of course. We can always draw another Vortex. We can draw Ball Lightning. No longer want to draw Ball Lightning. Faces the place. So much burn in hand. But yeah, that duress was perfectly timed, of course. And Baloth here makes things a little awkward. Just 10 damage in hand. So we're 2 top decks away. Okay, fine. You made me do it. Okay, we just need to go runner. Bolt Shock, Incinerate, not Ball Lightning, not Jackal Pup, Fire Blast, Sulfuric Vortex into tapped mana, Barbarian Ring. There's a lot of that I can't draw, right? I don't want to draw Pup. I don't want to draw Ball Lightning. I don't really want to draw Grim Lavamancer. If my opponent is not going to have access to Baloth here, obviously I'm super happy. Opponent's also taken 0 damage from lands. And Price of Progress is not looking good against the Yavimaya Elder deck. Typically, however, they're a little short on green sources. A lot of their green sources are... Ooh, Phyrexian Rager means Double Shock is live and Fire Blast is live. So let's just draw Fire Blast. Bolt, fine. One off lethal. Mog Fanatic has entered the chat. Opponent has a 4 Deranged Hermit, so they're very likely to be able to put one into play. If they go for another Phyrexian Rager, I'm going to be living my best life. Cabal Therapy. Feel like they aren't going to name Lightning Bolt here. And I do want a creature to be off the battlefield. Obviously kind of risky letting it land. Smells like they would want to follow it up with like a Ravenous Baloth or something. Maybe like a Pernicious Deed. They're just throwing it away. The thing about this is if they sacrifice a Wall of Blossoms, then Ball Lightning gets in and becomes like a winning play. Opens Ball Lightning up on my range. They almost never land Bolt. Probably name Incinerate. They've seen a little bit of each burn spell. Let's just go ahead and make the chill play. At least I kill the Baloth once it comes down. Yeah, Deranged Hermit. Okay, anything gets there. Yep, Bolt, including bolts. So I drew all 4 bolts. That will do it. All right, Pups out. Earthquake in, right? Earthquake for 1 just completely washes the Deranged Hermit in hilarious fashion. Price of Progress in first. Do Earthquake because over Seal of Fire. Earthquake just deals more damage. I mean, Ball Lightning hits anytime there isn't a wall and still does 2 damage through a wall. Jackal Pup actually isn't the worst. It's pretty bad because my opponent also has Yavimaya Elder. They have like a few good blockers for value. So maybe on the draw, Pup isn't going to feel it. Stick to the plan of sticking an Earthquake on them. And Price of Progress, obviously. Typically does at least 4 damage. All right. Game 2 up 1-0. It's going to get much harder on sideboarding. Spike Feeders and stuff coming in. Tempting Worm, possibly coming in. Oh, drew the 1 Seal of Fire. Drew the Earthquake as well. But fill on a mulligan to 6. I'm on the draw. Don't mind being on the draw in this matchup. TBA. And we've got a little Grim Lavamancer start to already get the pressure going. And we have double fetch land for that. So pretty slick. Oh, nice. Perfect follow-up. Obviously, my Earthquake looking hilarious right now, but it's okay. I feel really good about this game, y'all. Feel really good about this game. Pernicious Deed. Quite good for what it's worth. This Deed for 1 gonna be pretty savage, but this Grim Lavamancer will have cashed in probably for 4 damage at that point. Just hard to say if I want to... Oh, I got the easy out there. So yeah, just going to hold back the Seal of Fire because the Deed... I don't want to just like throw it at face for the Deed. I would have, because it would have represented another damage with the Grim Lavamancer, but Duress. Both these cards represent a lot of damage, but the Jig will be up on Price of Progress, so unfortunate, but not the end of the world. I think the Blaze mode on Earthquake is going to go pretty hard. Yeah. Let's take the Price of Progress. All right, now I have the potential to draw Ball Lightning, Sulfuric Vortex, etc., etc. If I draw nothing, I'll be sad. Curse Scroll, would be happy to draw. Incinerate, not the sweetest Incinerate I've ever seen, but we take them. Opponent had a pretty healthy life total. Got a lot of damage in for my guys, yeah. Yeah, Baloth, pretty real here. Bolt is not bad. Ring. Contemplating Earthquake for 4. Puts me to 13, gets rid of the Baloth. Take a hit from the Baloth. My opponent's unable to play creatures for a turn. Hard to imagine an Earthquake getting any better. I'm not really mad at this Earthquake. Not a lot of spells would deal with this Baloth in as relatively elegant of fashion, right? You know, my opponent could send both Treetop Villages, put me in a mild amount of danger. You know, I can't afford to be at too low of a life total. Okay, I have 9 damage in hand, 4 on the battlefield, so I'm 1 damage off. Duress. Okay, my opponent didn't play a land, but I think we'll die to an untapped land. Letting that Duress hit would just be like, you know, not good enough. Yeah, Tainted Wood does the trick. Oh, wasn't gonna get there. Yeah, really wasn't gonna get there in any world. I mean, I guess I would have traded and then gone ball laning. Okay, tough decision. I stand by it. Pups become a lot better on the play. Let's try it. Think it'll be better than Seal of Fire. Yeah, it's got all the goods. Opponent on mulligan to 6 again. Duress for Vortex is just kind of unfair. But if they don't have Duress, Vortex gets in. Maybe a Mog Fanatic, it just isn't that good. 4 damage with... I did like a lot of damage with... I think I got my value out of Grim Lava Mancer and Fanatic that last game. It just came up a little short, I think. Or got a little greedy. I've gone all in a couple times this league when it wasn't necessarily the move. All right, so do you think this is Naturalize or do you think this is Vendetta or Smother? Could be either. I mean, I beat Diabolic Edict, so yeah, it's Vendetta. The reason why is like if it's Vendetta and Naturalize, then Naturalize doesn't float a mana. Although if they go Deed here, then I'm pretty incentivized to not play out Sulfuric Vortex. But instead, I've got a pretty clean Vortex here into a lot of burn to follow. And Vortex notably means that a little recurring Nightmare loop with Baloth isn't going to do it. Cabal Therapy, obviously disgusting, only if they hit. I'm going to let them animate their Treetop Village to block. Very curious what my opponent has here. Could be a Tranquil Domain. Still think this is a good play. Yeah. Do they have second Naturalize? Nope. Incredible. Okay, so game should be pretty wrapped from here because they really wanted to like Naturalize, play Baloth, but instead they've died. Yeah. We are going to, in case, okay, so they obviously don't have second Naturalize, but in case they do, no, we just kill them. No, I don't know how to do math. It's fine. Obviously I need a second freaking thing. So they can have a Naturalize plus recurring Nightmare activation here. So yeah, I kind of blundered that. So, like, don't have 4 mountains in play. Plant wall, yeah. So that's even better if they top deck the Naturalize. Kind of a huge mistake on my part. Critical. But if it's just Deed, then we're okay. Opponent correctly deeding while they're not at 4 life. Yeah, I kind of punted. I kind of punted a little bit. So now they can Beast, recurring Nightmare Beast. Draw a mountain, obviously, doesn't matter. Gonna just try to kill my opponent here. Okay, messy, but got it. Sometimes you get a little excited. So what I should have done that turn, obviously, was just chump block with a Mog Fanatic, send some burn to face, have a Lavamancer in play. All those things would have been good. All's well that ends well. All right, back for the final match. All right, playing against Lad. Fun stuff. Possible mirror. Probable mirror. Possible mirror with nearly all the same cards. So both of us drawing some really powerful cards in the matchup. I have my own Seal of Fire too, so feeling good about protection here. Should have fetched again. I always play fetch lands last. I'm just kind of like just keep doing it. That's a pretty valuable Mog Fanatic for net 3. And we've got Seal of Fire. We've got Lightning Bolt. We have Barbarian Ring. Not sure if this matchup or this particular game is going to be about position or mana. Sulfuric Vortex. Okay, it's going to be about mana. So opponent on the play with Sulfuric Vortex. Pretty relevant here. Would love a Grim Lavamancer. A Mog Fanatic is actually kind of fine. Baits the Seal of Fire activation. Gets in good damage. 3 versus 3. Opponent on substantially less life. The Shock for Fanatic trade was pretty poor for them, but if they might not have had any choice, if they had no possible good stuff coming. Opponent has Shock and Seal of Fire, so they're playing a hybrid list, or like, you know, what I would call a hybrid list. They've got also 4 lands, so they're a little flooded. I'm about to be nearing threshold. Pretty comfy life total, and I think their Vortex is going to end up working more for me than it is for them. Because yeah, this is enough damage all on the battlefield to get the remaining 8. And yeah, pretty simple stuff. Incinerate is fine. They can't deal however much damage they need in so few cards, I'm pretty sure here. Because they'll be a 9, so even even Fire Blast. Fire Blast Bolt gets me. Fire Blast Bolt gets me. So I might have to play the stack initiation game. So 7, yeah, and I need, I'll be able to stack initiate. So yeah, opponent doing the math, but I can double stack, right? So they'll be at 7. I'll deal 5 to them, and then I'll threaten the last 2 damage twice. Yep. Well, I guess they could respond to my Fire Blast, of course. Okay. Oh, they can't do 9. What am I thinking? I was like double counting. So they can't do 9. Oh, they can. The Bolt Fire Blast gets there. Okay, well, can't really give them another draw step, so let's see if they understand stack initiation. Everything's on the table. Nope. Okay. So Bolt Fire Blast would have gotten me. Pretty crazy that it would have too. But we get there. Yeah, obviously opponent's Sulfuric Vortex doing a lot of help. But, you know, like I said, I mean, they would have gotten there with Bolt Fire Blast. So really actually close and finicky. All right, so this is actually our worst nightmare. We have a horrible sideboard for burn. All we can bring in are Overloads and Earthquakes. And possibly Price of Progress as bad shock. Take out our Jackal Pups. And we're also going to be on the draw, so Sulfuric Vortex can be quite poor. So what the plan is to play Earthquake until we're on the play. So use Earthquake to force draws until we end up back on the play. Or just draw really well. It's like if our opponent doesn't draw their Lava Darts, then we'll be happy. But yeah, this is funny stuff. Sadly, Earthquake not really showing its possibilities, but I mainly have it because I think it's better against Goblins than Lava Dart. I drew a lot of Lava Dart against Goblins one time, and it just wasn't that effective. Okay, this hand's quite bad on... well, this hand's really bad against Lava Dart, but it's playable in for other functions. Lava Man. So, priced into Seal of Firing, targeting Lava Man. But I've got a pretty efficient next turn because I drew a Bolt. Play Lava Man, have Bolt up. Get my Lava Man bolted. Bolt their Ball Lightning, get my Ball Lightning in. Their Seal of Fire is pretty good. And their untapped Mountain is quite good too. With so many lands, I'm going to hold this Foothills. If I just keep drawing lands, then it's possible I save a life. This probably eats a Seal of Fire, right? Oh, it's going to eat a Lava Dart. Worst case scenario for me. Shock is also not the best scenario, but we are protected from most things, and you know, we have more value in our hand than our opponent. No Vortex, no shenanigans. Let's see if we can get a Mog Fanatic. Yep. Okay. Pretty good. We're just drawing the good cards in our deck. We still haven't drawn any Overload, Earthquake. No nonsense yet. What's funny is that I almost value this Mog Fanatic more than this Lightning Bolt if opponent goes for Ball Lightning. Barbarian Ring that opponent never has to tap. Thinking. Seal of Fire targeting Mog Fanatic. Mog Fanatic targeting Vlad. So pretty much a pivotal exchange here. And 3 cards, no Curse Scroll on my side, and I'm a little bit flooded. Kind of just waiting for my opponent to spend their mana to see if I can get this Ball Lightning in. So it's my 3 cards against their 3 cards. They haven't shown me a Lava Dart yet. Each time I give them a draw step, I'm kind of giving them time to find like a Seal of Fire in an efficient way. So I think this is the window. If their hand is all Vortexes, then I guess I win if their hand is all Vortexes anyways, but I'm going to spend my mana. I have Curse Scroll in my deck, obviously. Yeah, Incinerate is a fine trade for me. Untaps. They have a Grim Lavamancer and a Jackal Pup. Okay. I guess I can see if I draw Earthquake. Otherwise, what am I doing? I'm bolting the Pup and then getting with Ball Lightning. I'll fetch to thin. Kind of an odd fetch to thin, I guess, but I guess I'm sort of seeing into the future of the mana here. Okay, Curse Scroll is of course crazy. A perfect draw. Would have been nice if I could have it all, but we'll start by just bolting this Pup. So opponent's sideboard worse than mine apparently. They said they're a big fan of mine, so they might just be running my horrendous sideboard. I'll obviously let my opponent have a Lava Man activation. I'm not going to let myself get hit by their Ball Lightning. Barbarian Ring into activate. Pretty aggressive. We're at parity, but I have a Curse Scroll, so gotta like that from us here. I have Curse Scroll and a Barbarian Ring now. Opponent's never going to be able to get in for Ball Lightning, so now they just have to draw substantially better than me. Yep. I mean, they could obviously have artifact removal somewhere, and obviously I might have a 3-mana disenchant on Seal of Fire eventually in the form of Ball Lightning. But looks like we're just going to get there on pure good stuff. Now opponent, obviously opponent can have double fire blast, triple fire blast. No, they need one more fire blast. Curse Scroll just completely getting to work. Yeah, I'll donate a Ball Lightning to the Seal of Fire cause here. I was thinking about casting 2, of course. Be kind of funny, but 2 would expose me to like burn spell. They untap, they Ball Lightning. Okay, they're a little flooded, but they actually haven't flooded harder than me. It's just because I had Mog Fanatic is the reason that I won. Opponent did have a pretty cool... So opponent did like put their Jackal Pup on the battlefield in a place that did damage, of course. Forced to Fire Blast my Ball Lightning. Yep, that is what happens. And yeah, we're just ahead by Crazy Life. 1, 2, 3. And they just 1, 2, they drew 6 lands. I drew 6 lands as well, but I drew Curse Scroll. Yeah, opponent's using my deck list, but they have Seal of Fire and Shock, so they're doing a little bit of different stuff. And yeah, that's how it goes. So yeah, a little 4-2 Rocky. Should have been a 5-1. Shouldn't be losing to Blue Tide. All right, that wraps it up on Lanny Burn. Proud of Lanny Burn. Not proud of Lanny. Lanny could have done a little bit better. Still really kicking myself over punting the sequencing on that Mono Blue Tide game where I just decided to not take the play that I was saying out loud, but I'll chalk that up to brain fog from talking and playing at the same time. I think that league didn't really have too many spots where it showcased the full potential of the deck. Played against the pseudo mirror, but my opponent, I guess, evidently didn't have Lava Dart or something. Even the worst version of my deck list can at least side in Price of Progress for Jackal Pups. You know, wasn't punished by Barbarian Ring, drew it a reasonable amount, and feels like a reasonable way to defray the mana flood potential. You really want to hit your land drops, but you obviously want those land drops to be spells. So yeah, I mean, obviously this deck is really bad against burn, but you know, if people are going to play Dick's Burn, then you can't play this deck, and I would just play a deck that's better against burn, because I think that Dick's Burn is good, but I just think that if you play 4 Sulfuric Vortex, you're in a great shape. And one of the kind of philosophical issues that we ran into with the burn deck was like pretty simple. It's just like, okay, well, like obviously Jackal Pup isn't good in the burn mirror, right? But it's not like we don't play Jackal Pup just because it's bad in the mirror. It's like both burn players just have Jackal Pup, and whoever draws their Jackal Pup in game 1 loses. And game 2, each player is like trying to sideboard out as much stuff to try to be good for the mirror. So they like to be in a spot where they're like, okay, well, I want to side out all my pups, and I prefer to side out all my Vortex. Vortex, you know, as you saw, can be worse than, you know, just a shock or obviously like a bobble in the scenario. And I actually think that Vortex is somewhat reasonable on the play. If you're gonna not play a positioning game, you might just play a like all-in game. And if you have an all-in game and you're on the play, you can just jam Vortex on 3. And if your opponent just drew 1 extra land, you know, that they could be dead. Or if you just drew lots of bolts and fire blasts, they could be dead. And the cards you're boarding in, like Lava Dart, you know, don't get me wrong, like I wouldn't have minded Lava Dart, but like, you know, Earthquake was also like a really sweet card in certain spots in the Elves matchup. And I just, the main reason I don't like Lava Dart is I don't find myself flashing it back for the mountain often, except for in the burn matchup. And I don't like drawing a bunch of Lava Darts in the Goblins matchups. Like I need to draw 1 for 1 Lackey, right? But Lackey, Prospector, Mog Fanatic being the only 1 toughness creatures targets for Goblins means that you'll sometimes just be in a position where it's like, okay, well, I have the bolt for the Lackey. You go to your draw step, you draw a Lava Dart, and then their next card is Pile Driver. And you're like, okay, well, you know, drew my cards in the wrong order, and now I have this Lava Dart that I'm waiting to try to get good value from, you know, when I can be playing something that's just better against creature decks. So, you know, we didn't really get to see Earthquake do anything. We got some good Price of Progresses in and just kind of failed the execution on Mono Blue. I think I was just a little too... I think I just didn't really see the lines, or, you know, I just wasn't playing tight enough. And yeah, rest of the deck is good. Kind of want a 3rd Curse Scroll. The 3rd Curse Scroll is good in the mirror, and then it's good against control. That Mono Blue deck, I didn't get any of my Curse Scrolls, so a reasonable card to like over Earthquake. Rest of these cards are the same. Could have skimped on Overloads, you know, had no targets for Overloads, but sometimes you'll run against Storm and run against Dreadnought. But yeah, you know, point still stands. This is the burn list that I think that I would play in a meta where there's not a lot of Dix burn. And if there's just like 1 or 2 Dix burn, maybe you dodge them, or maybe if you get paired against them, you get lucky. And the rest of the time, hope that your win rate is a little higher than the bauble burn win rate, so that you never have to play the mirror if you're on separate sides of the bracket. So yeah, that's Lanny Burn. Thanks for watching.